Hi there, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today I'm going to be doing a complete setup from start to finish of the Brook Converter. This is the one if you want to use your PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 3 controller on your Nintendo Switch. So I'm going to be unpacking it, I'm going to be setting it up with the drivers, then I'm going to be seeing what does and what doesn't work with it, PlayStation 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then also I'm going to be doing some weird adapters and show you different things that you can do with it. So first of all, let's unbox it. So in the package, you get your little converter. You also get some instructions and some little stickers. First things first, we need to download the latest driver for this. So I'm going to get my laptop. So this is the website we need to go to download the latest driver, the driver for the Switch. So we need to go to brookaccessory.com/download/switch. And then once you're on that page there, you will have two options. You've got a driver for the PS3, PS4 to Switch Edition, and you've also got a driver for the Xbox 360, Xbox One to Switch Edition. I'll do a separate video on that. Now, obviously the one we need is this one here. So if you have a look here, at the moment it's July 2017, and it says here version 13. So this is the latest one that I'm going to be downloading. So all we got to do is click on this where it says PC, here. And now at the bottom here, it's asking me what I want to do with this file. So I'm going to save it to my desktop. So I'm going to go save as. Obviously you can save it wherever you want to save it to. So I'm going to click on desktop. And now I'm going to go to save. And it doesn't take long, it only takes a few seconds to download. Obviously depending on your internet connection. But it's only a small file. Right, okay, so that's downloaded now, so I can just go to open, or hopefully if you were to go to your desktop, it should be there. So if I have a look down here now, I've got it down here. So I'm just going to double click on that. And now what we have to do is we have to extract it. So I'm going to click on it again. And here it says log, and then underneath it says PS3, PS4 to Switch version 13, and it's got applications. So this is the one we want to be clicking on. And it says here to extract all. So we're going to have to extract it, extract all. And it's asking you where you want to put it. I'm going to put it in the same place that the original file was. And I'm going to click on extract. Again, it doesn't take long at all. This is all happening in real time. Right, okay. So now, if we click on this one here, or again we can just close all these because now it's given us another icon on the desktop. This one down below it. And if I was to click on that one, I can then click on this, and we've got log, and we've got another application. We want to be clicking on the application. And now it's going to bring up this bit here, firmware update, Switch version 1.3. Obviously, depending on when you're watching this, that might be updated to a different version. So now, nice and simple, all we're going to do is get our converter and we're going to plug it into a USB port. So I've got a couple at the side here. Just plug it in there like so. Right, and it just says setting up a device, but you can ignore that because we're going to be just doing the firmware update via here. Right, so what we're going to do is I'm just going to click this button down here that says Controller Compatibility Update. So I'm just going to click that checkbox, and then I'm going to go over to Start and press Start. And now it will say Updating, do not remove the converter. And as you can see, it's colouring in the symbol. Now give it a couple of minutes to do its thing. While it's doing this, you may notice that it will be flashing down here. There we go, finished. And now we have a solid green light. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to click finish. And now we can unplug our converter and get rid of your laptop or your PC. Right, okay, so I've got my Switch turned on, the TV turned on, and I've got my Joy-Cons out of the Switch because we're going to actually need to go to a particular screen to get this to work. Now, first things first, what I'm going to do is get this Brook adapter and I'm going to plug it into one of the USB ports. Doesn't matter which one you plug it into, it should work on all of them. If you were to plug it into the back, let's see if it fits. I haven't actually tried it in here. Yeah, it fits there. The only problem is it's going to be kind of hard to get your USB in and out. So just for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to be plugging it in to one of the ones at the side. Right, okay, so as you can see now, it's lit up green. Now what we need to do is, we're going to get our controller, whether that's a PS4 or a PS3, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to use the PS4 at the moment. So this will only work as a wired controller. I will show you it not working on the little wireless adapter later on, but for the moment let's just plug it into a micro USB. So this is basically your charging cable that you get with your PlayStation 4. So now, before we plug it into the Brook Converter, I'm going to turn on my controller. So I've turned it on now, and now I'm going to plug this side into the Brook Converter, like this. So as you can see, it has lit up, but if you look, it's not actually doing anything. So don't worry, it's not that you've got a faulty adapter or that's not going to work, we just have to do another thing to get it to recognise the inputs. So what we need to do is, we need to go to change grip order on the Nintendo Switch. So if we go down to controllers, that one there, and press A. And then if we go to change grip order up the top there and press A again, it's now going to be on this screen here. So what we need to do is, you need to do a weird combination of buttons to get this to work. So look carefully now. You're going to have to press the left directional pad and the down directional pad at the same time. Also, we're going to have to press the square and the X at the same time, and the L1 all at the same time. Now, it doesn't matter if you do one first and then the next one, as long as eventually they're all held together. And what will happen, if you look closely, I'm going to zoom in down here when I do this, the adapter here will start flashing green. So these two, and here. So I'm going to hold that down, and can you see now? There we go, it's flashing green. And what will happen, it will take about a minute or two, but eventually it will come up on screen here that it's been recognised as a Pro controller. There we go, can you see there it says paired at the top, and now it's come up. And now we've gone to blue, because we are the first player on it. If we were going to be the second or third player, it will go to green, red, and then that kind of pinkish colour. And also, if you have a look now, we've gone to a solid green. So that's it. That's as easy as it is to set up. It's just a bit confusing because you have to do it in those steps. But once it's initially set up, I can just plug this in any time now and it will work. So if you have a look now, you can see now that it's working. Right, okay. Now I'm just going to show you the quick range of buttons. And basically this will map the Pro controller. So if it says, for example, press X, you're not going to be pressing X here, you're going to be copying the buttons here. So B is going to be here, A is going to be here, the triangle from the PlayStation 1 is going to be X, and the square is going to be Y, and then the other buttons will make more sense. If I go to controllers and sensors, and then if I go to test input devices and press A, or circle in this case, test controller buttons, let me just show you. So basically X will be B, circle will be A, X, Y, that's R in, so R3, L3, and then we've got our directional pad, and then right, left, and ZR and Z left. This should be plus, and this should be minus, and then to go home we're just going to hit the PlayStation button there and it brings us home. And I just want to show you the downfall of this setup. The analog sticks are not analog, they're digital, so I don't know whether this is going to be sorted out in a later update. But let me just show you, calibrate control sticks to show you what I mean. Right, so let's say the left analog stick. Normally, if you just do it a tiny little amount, it will move a tiny amount, but look here, it goes all the way over, even when I do it a tiny amount, so it's just acting as a D-pad. Yeah, and so look, can you see there? It's just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's just 8 settings around it, which is the same as this. 1, and then both of them, 2, 3, diagonal 4, 5, diagonal 6, 7, diagonal 8. Okay, so apart from that, it does work really well. So this is made more for kind of like fight sticks and stuff like that, and games that you don't need the analog sticks. Now, just to clarify what I mean by that, I'm just going to show you it working on the actual Joy-Con. Right, so for example now, if I was to click in here, now have a look, can you see? I can do small amounts and it's completely analog. I can move it wherever I want. Yeah? You can see tiny amounts, which is different than when you use the Brook Converter on the PlayStation controller, because it just whacks either side. So you can see now, if you were to play a game like Zelda, it's not going to work very well, is it? Because you're not going to be able to move around slowly. You haven't got any fine movement. Right, okay, so that's the basic setup. So now let me just show you it working on the PlayStation 3 controller, and I'm going to show you it all unplugged, and then how easy it is to set up now that we've already set it up. So let's get out of that. So now let's say if we wanted to do the PlayStation 3 controller, I'm just going to unplug the PlayStation 4. And now I've got my PlayStation 3 controller here, and all I have to do is plug it in, turn it on, and well, there you go, it's already recognised it already. Can you see now the PlayStation 3 controller is working? And it's exactly the same as the PlayStation 4 controller in regards to the buttons, apart from this is plus, this is minus, that still takes you home, and we still have the same problem with the analog sticks. Right, okay, so what can you do and what can't you do? Can you plug a USB hub into here and then plug in two controllers into this? Unfortunately, the answer is no. The Brook Converter will only allow one controller to work. So can you see now? It's not doing it. Nothing's syncing up. So it will only allow one controller at a time into the Brook Converter. Can you use more than one Brook Converter? Yes, you can. I've only got the one PlayStation 1, but I've used a PlayStation 1 and an Xbox 1. The Xbox 1 is the green one, this one here. And I can confirm that it does work when you're using two Brook Converters into the Nintendo Switch. Now, a lot of people have been asking, does the Wii U Pro Controller work? Unfortunately, no. At this moment in time, it doesn't work. If I plug it in here, although it charges up there, I can't do anything. It's not connecting up. And I believe it's because this was never designed to be used as a wired controller. So I can't get the Wii U Pro Controller to work. Does the PlayStation 1 and the PlayStation 2 controller work? So that would be the original PlayStation 1 and the DualShock 2 controller. Unfortunately, I thought they would work, but I can't get them to work. I've tried it using this little USB to PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 adapter, and it doesn't recognise anything. So when I plug it in here, although I can have the analog button light up, it doesn't actually control anything. I can't do anything with it. And I've tried holding down the buttons here and stuff. It doesn't make any difference. As you can see, I'm holding it down here, but yet it's not going to flashing green there. And that's exactly the same with the PlayStation 1 controller as well. I still have no response out of it, even though the analog does light up. But it lights up even if you were just to plug that into any old USB. But again, nothing happens. Right, so unfortunately, it looks like you can't use a PlayStation 1 or a PlayStation 2 controller, which is a shame. I only actually found out recently that on these PlayStation 2 controllers, that the buttons are analog as well, so they're actually pressure sensitive. So, right, okay, so what a lot of you are going to be wondering is, can I use it wirelessly if I get the PlayStation DualShock 4 USB wireless adapter? I thought it would work, but it's not going to work. When I plug it into here, I don't even have this light up. So let me just do it via an extension lead so I can show you, and then we'll plug it directly in just to show you it makes no difference. So right now this is via a little extension lead, and it's not even lighting up. Funny enough, when I plug this into the Xbox One, it does allow me to sync up with the PlayStation controller, but annoyingly the inputs don't work. So for some reason, this isn't even being recognised, because I can plug this into any USB and it will light up and it will let me sync it to my PlayStation 4 controller. But obviously, if I do it into a USB charger, then I'm not going to be able to control anything. But with this one, it's not even lighting up, which is really strange. And it's not broken. When I plug it in there, it's exactly the same result. Normally it lights up blue and you hold it in here to sync it up to your PlayStation 4 controller. But there's nothing happening at all, which is a real shame, because that would have been a lovely feature to be able to use it wirelessly. Right, the Kronus Max. Now I have to apologise, I've only got this recently and I don't know the full ins and outs of it. I know I can just plug and play when I'm going from, for example, PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 4 to my Xbox, or vice versa, my Xbox One or 360 controller into my PlayStation 4. But when I plug it into the converter down here, it's not allowing me, for example, to plug in an Xbox controller, because obviously then you could just get the one Brook converter instead of having to buy different Brook converters for the different products that you want to attach. Now, there may well be a way to do it. Somebody said about actually not letting it auto detect, but setting it to Xbox 360. Unfortunately, I haven't looked into it yet, so if anybody out there understands these things, and if you know an easy way for me to test it, then I will do that. But I do need to read up and start to learn about the Kronus Max, because it does seem like a fantastic product. But if I plug it in there, as you can see there, it will just keep on doing that there. And if I was to plug, for example, the PlayStation 4 controller into it, then the bottom light's gone, so it's recognising the PlayStation 4. I've got the blue light here, but it's not actually recognising the fact that it's plugged into a Brook converter and nothing's happening up on screen. But at this moment in time, when I plug in, for example, an Xbox or a Steam controller or the Wii U controller or any other controller into this, it's not working when I plug it into the Brook converter. Right, other things you might be wondering. When we've got the switch in handheld mode, it will still work, because what's happening is this is getting its power from the dock and it's sending it wirelessly into the switch itself. So I presume it's just like a Bluetooth connection between here and here. So this doesn't actually have to be plugged into the dock. This can be plugged into a power supply, which I'll show you in a minute. So at this moment in time, let's again plug in our PlayStation 4 controller. Okay, and you can see it and hear it working. So it does work in handheld mode, but you have to be within range of the adapter. So the good thing is you don't have to actually be in range of the dock itself. So let's say if you were to take this away from your dock, let's say if your dock was in the living room and you were taking this up to your bedroom, then what you can do is just get a normal USB charger, the one that you use, for example, from your phone, and then what I can do is I can just plug that into there like so, and then I can plug this into a power point. Right, it's taken a bit of time, but there you go, it's gone over to it now. And it's working again. So you don't have to have that adapter plugged into the switch, which is pretty good, but I presume the nearer you are to the switch, there's going to be less input lag. Now, as far as the lag is concerned, it works surprisingly well. It doesn't work as well as the Pro Controller or using the Joy-Cons. When you use the Pro Controller or the Joy-Cons, to me it feels completely instant. When I'm inputting the buttons on this, let's say if I go to that input screen that I showed you earlier, well, in fact I'll show you now, there does seem to be an ever so slight delay on it. So let me just show you. But when you're actually playing the games, for me, I can't notice it, but I suppose it depends what game you're going to be playing and at what level you are. I'm not very good, so it doesn't really make a difference if there is, for example, a few milliseconds of delay. Let me just show you what I mean though. Right, so if I go to test input devices, and I'm going to zoom right in here. Now watch. Can you see there? It's pretty instant, but when I do loads of them at once, there's like a little delay. You can hear it more with the sound rather than anything else. See there? But yet when I do it on this one here, for example, can you see? It just happens every single time, all the time. Yeah, can you hear the sound there? Every time I hit it, it's making that sound. But on this one, it is different. There, see it missed it a couple there? But it's not bad. I mean, you can see that it is instant, but it doesn't seem like a reliable connection like when you're using the Pro Controller or the Joy-Cons, because obviously these were designed for this system and this is a workaround, but that's not to say you're not going to have a lot of fun with it. Now, let me show you things like a fight stick working. Okay, so we're still on that input screen. Now, I've got it on PlayStation 3, and the good thing about the PlayStation 3 with this fight stick, this is a Mayflash F500. It's a universal one, so it will do Xbox 360, Xbox One, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, and also PC as well. But normally when you're using the Xbox One or the PlayStation 4, you have to have the controller connected into it. But because it's got a D input up here, the good thing is it will work directly into the converter. So right now I've just got the USB cable, because this is a wired fight stick, straight into that converter, plugged into the power supply over there. And if you have a look now, you can see when I hit the, let's do the joystick, and you'll see joystick, and then the buttons, like that. Okay, so the fight stick will work. If I was to hit the home here, you can see it will go to home there. And if you have a look, it's also lit up the number 1 here. So it's player 1. Obviously, if I had another controller connected, like the Pro Controller, this would have jumped over to player 2. So in theory, there's nothing stopping you from getting 2 Brook Converters and then plugging in 2 fight sticks if you wanted to do 2-player locally on Street Fighter. Now, other good thing about this is you can have turbo. So for example, a bit of a cheat, but on something like this fight stick, if I was to hold down turbo and then, for example, this button here, you can see now every time I press that button, that turbo comes up. So if you were doing a game like Street Fighter and you wanted to do, for example, E-Honda, the 100 hand slap, you could just hold that down instead of hitting it repeatedly. Yeah, so it's a bit of a cheat. Geo game, if you wanted to fire your gun repeatedly, you could just hold that down instead of having to keep on tapping it. So as you can see, the fight stick works. This will also... So although the arcade stick works fine when it's in PlayStation 3 mode, for some reason, when I connect up my PlayStation 4 controller into it, it doesn't work, which is odd, because when I use it with the Brook Converter for the Xbox, I can use my Xbox One and my Xbox 360 controller. But I've tried many times now to get this PlayStation 4 controller to work via the fight stick, and it's not having it. But it doesn't really matter, because on this particular model, you just put it into D input, and then it will work as a PS3, so it's absolutely fine. Now, I'm kind of wondering, will it work when I plug it straight into the switch? Because, for example, you might not want to plug it in via either the dock or a separate USB charger. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't work. I would have thought it would have worked, but for some reason it doesn't. So here we've got a USB-C on-the-go cable, and I can plug things like my Ethernet adapter into here and my keyboards, and it will work fine when I plug it into the switch. But whenever I do this adapter here, it will just keep flashing green. And it's the same thing for the Xbox One as well. Yep. So it will just flash green, and it doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter if I do all the holding it down, do this, do that and the other. In fact, I'll show you now. Change grip order. So if I was to hold down that, hold down the left and down and L1, it will just keep flashing there and it won't do anything. Which is really weird. I don't understand why that's happening, because it's got enough power when it's plugged into the dock, and it's got enough power when it's plugged into the USB charger over there, but for some reason the switch here isn't giving it enough power, and that could well be it. Maybe this is drawing too much current and the switch isn't providing enough power via the USB, because I've only tried things like the Ethernet adapter and, for example, very simple keyboards in there. Maybe if you were to have a more power hungry device, it wouldn't work via the USB-C. So is there a way around this? Yes, there is. Now, this fans adapter, then it works just fine, even without any power connected to it. So if you have a look there, I've got my green light there on. Yeah. And now it's recognised it as a Pro Controller, and now you can see, again, it's working just fine. So I forgot to mention earlier on in the video whether rumble works, and the vibration feature, the rumble feature, does work. So for example, if you're driving Mario Kart and you hit into something, you will feel the controller vibrating on both the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 4 controller. Now the other thing is motion controls. Although the PlayStation controllers do have motion control, so you know you can turn the wheel like so, it doesn't work when it comes to using the Brook Converter on the Nintendo Switch. So motion control is a no-go, it doesn't work.